The late afternoon sun poured over the quiet little town of Elmridge like liquid honey, gilding every rooftop and stretching shadows long across the streets. The scent of bread still lingered from the bakery on the corner, mingling with the crisp tang of autumn leaves. For Alina, this kind of evening always felt like a whisper from fate, soft, promising, alive with hidden meaning. She pulled her scarf tighter around her neck as she and her husband, Ryan, stood at the base of the hill that led into the forest trail. He was grinning like a mischievous boy, clutching something that made her burst into laughter the moment she saw it. It wasn't just a hiking stick. It was a tree branch so thick and tall, it looked like it had been plucked straight from a fairy tale. "Ryan," she exclaimed between giggles, "what on earth are you doing with that giant thing?" He tapped the end of it on the ground with exaggerated importance. "This," he declared, "is no ordinary stick. This is the Staff of Champions, the Rod of Destiny, the legendary tool that will lead us through today's adventure." She shook her head, laughter still bubbling in her chest. "You're ridiculous. Ridiculously prepared," he corrected with mock seriousness, balancing it on his shoulder like a knight would his sword. Still smiling, Alina slipped her hand into his free one. It felt warm, steady, familiar, the same hand that had walked with her through storms and celebrations alike. "Fine, Sir Knight. Let's see if your giant stick actually makes it up the hill without knocking out half the trees on the way." And with that, their climb began. The forest welcomed them with rustling leaves and the occasional chirp of birds darting between branches. Every step crunched against the carpet of gold and amber spread across the trail. The air smelled clean and sharp, like new beginnings. Ryan swung the stick dramatically, fending off invisible enemies. "Beware, Lena! The dragon approaches." She burst into laughter so bright that even the birds seemed to pause and listen. "If there's a dragon, it's probably running away from your theatrics right now." But behind her teasing, she felt something deep stir inside her. It had been too long since they'd done this, since they'd stepped away from deadlines, traffic, and endless chores. Too long since they'd simply been themselves again, two souls chasing light together. The trail grew steeper, and Alina began to feel the tug of gravity pulling at her legs. She stumbled once, but before fear could even rise, Ryan slid the stick between them, steadying her with ease. "See," he said, a triumphant spark in his eyes. "Told you this thing would save us." She caught her breath, clutching the stick with both hands. "Okay, maybe it's not completely useless." "Not useless," he corrected again, winking at her. "Legendary." They both ended up holding it together as they navigated the uneven ground, their fingers brushing against each other's every few steps. And each time they touched, it was like a current of warmth ran through her veins, reminding her that love could be both laughter and safety at once. By the time they reached a clearing halfway up, the sun had begun sinking lower, painting the sky with streaks of lavender and peach. Ryan planted the stick firmly into the earth like a banner of victory, leaning on it as though it were the foundation of the world. Alina sat on a rock, catching her breath. "You and that stick," she said with mock severity. "I swear you love it more than me." He tilted his head, pretending to think. "Well, the stick never complains when I stop to rest." Her mouth fell open in feigned outrage. "Excuse me." He burst out laughing and crouched beside her, brushing his hand over hers. "I'm kidding. You know you're my heart, Lena. Always." The humor softened into sincerity, and her chest filled with that familiar ache, the kind that reminded her of how lucky she was. She leaned into him, resting her head against his shoulder. "Sometimes I think we forget to do this," she murmured. "Forget to just be us. No noise, no rushing, no roles to play." He pressed his lips gently to her hair. "That's why I brought you here, and why I insisted on this ridiculously huge stick. Because today isn't supposed to be ordinary. Today's about remembering who we are." Her throat tightened with emotion. For all his silly antics, Ryan had always known exactly how to reach the deepest parts of her heart. They climbed again, the trail winding like a ribbon. The higher they went, the quieter the world became, until it felt like they were the only two souls alive on the hill. The stick bore some of their weight, but the real strength came from the rhythm of their steps together, the way their laughter echoed off the trees. Finally, they reached the top. The world opened up before them. A sweeping view of the valley, the town below glowing with scattered lights as twilight settled in. Stars began pricking the sky like shy diamonds. Alina's breath caught. "It's beautiful!" Ryan set the stick aside at last, spreading his arms wide. "Worth every step, right?" She nodded, her eyes stinging, not from exhaustion, but from the overwhelming fullness of the moment. She turned to him, voice soft. "Thank you for bringing me here." He stepped closer, gaze steady. "You're the reason I climb any hill, Lena. With you, even carrying the world would feel light." Her chest trembled. Sometimes his words reached places in her she hadn't even realized were aching. She touched his cheek lightly. "You always know what to say." "I just say what's true," he whispered, covering her hand with his. They stood together, the wind sweeping gently around them. Silence weighted with meaning. The stick lay forgotten at their feet, but Alina realized it had been more than just a branch. It had been their anchor, their laughter, their shared rhythm. And now, standing here, she felt stuffed, not by the wood itself, but by the flood of love, joy, and gratitude filling her chest until she could barely contain it. "I think," she said softly, "I'm going crazy from how much I feel right now. It's like my heart can't hold it all." Ryan pulled her into his arms. "Then let it spill over. I'll hold it for you." The night sky deepened, stars multiplying until it seemed the heavens themselves were watching. They lingered, talking about everything and nothing. Silly memories, big dreams, the way they first met. Each laugh wove another thread into the fabric of their love. When the air grew colder, Ryan picked up the stick again, hoisting it over his shoulder with renewed pride. "Shall we descend, my lady?" Alina linked her arm through his, smiling. "Lead the way, stickmaster." They made their way down slowly, the stick thumping rhythmically on the earth, guiding their balance. Even in the shadows, neither felt afraid. The stick might have steadied their steps, but it was their bond, their laughter, their trust, their shared rhythm that truly carried them. By the time they returned to their home, the town was hushed, windows glowing warmly in the night. Ryan leaned the stick against their porch like a trophy. Alina tilted her head, smiling. "So, what happens to the legendary stick now?" He shrugged playfully. "Maybe it stays, a reminder of today." And she knew she wouldn't. Long after the laughter faded and the stick gathered dust, this day would remain etched in her heart. The day they remembered what it felt like to climb together, to laugh until their stomachs ached, to love so fully it overflowed.